has it ever happened before that we had a man of this prestige in such a position? Well, we had Henry Kissinger one time as a Secretary of State, but this is, this guy is totally in the middle of it.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
Welcome, friends. This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, coming to you in a conversation that's being recorded in late March of 2025 with someone that I hope will be familiar with my listeners because I have had the chance to talk to him before. Specifically, 2 years ago, you might recall, I hope, interview 1814 on the UN's apex body, in which I talked to today's guest about an interesting article or series of articles he was writing about the roadmap for upgrading the UN at that time. Well, it is the subject of a different editorial that he penned recently that I thought was worthy of our attention and scrutiny today. It's called Externalization of the Money Masters, and it's up on the Pharos Chronicles Substack, the link to which will, of course, be in the show notes. I am talking about none other than Dr. Jacob Nordengard, and I hope people are familiar with his work, including, of course, his book, Rockefeller Controlling the Game, and his newly published book, Temple of Solomon, which I am afraid I do not have a copy of. It is only available in physical reality, and it is not physically in my possession. But I hope we will have the chance to talk about it today. So, Jacob Nordengard, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, let's get into this from this article that I mentioned that caught my attention recently, because as a Canadian, you might imagine I've been reading a lot about the newly anointed Prime Minister of Canada,
yeah,
who has not even run for office in his life, let alone been selected into office. But here he is as the new Prime Minister, apparently. And how and where did this happen? Well, obviously, I've read a lot of takes on it, but yours was the most interesting and original of all of them. Specifically, as you write in Externalization of the Hierarchy, Externalization of the Money Masters, let me not confuse things. You write, according to the neo-theosophical teachings of Alice A. Bailey in the book Externalization of the Hierarchy, the spiritual hierarchy, aka the Masters of Wisdom, will start to externalize on the world scene in 2025 to install a new world order. And as you say, as I write in my latest book, Temple of Solomon, the masters of this spiritual hierarchy have a remarkably close connection to the old geopolitical goals of the Anglo-Saxon Roundtable Group when it comes to creating a system of world governance and the current 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And if that's an intriguing lead, well, then join the club. I was very intrigued by that as well. So, first of all, let's put some things on the table. You invoke Alice A. Bailey and the externalization of the hierarchy, the Lucius Trust, the neo-theosophical teachings, occultic aspects of things that people may or may not be familiar with. How did you start becoming interested in and getting researching into the occultic side of the globalist plans?
Well, it actually started during my PhD studies. I have always been kind of interested in occult subjects since I was in my teenager, and but during my PhD work that was about energy policy in the European Union, quite far away from occultism, you could say, but as you dig into things, you find that a lot of things that's happening in politics have connections to these spiritual dimensions, and so that was, I was actually investigating the Club of Rome, the environmental think tank that published Limits to Growth and has been a very, 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 very important actor in influencing the environmental agenda and climate change especially. And during that work, I was doing some background checks on certain key actors in the Club of Rome in the 70s, and one of these was Irving Laszlo. Irving Laszlo, he was the editor of a Club of Rome report called Goals for Mankind, and this talked a little bit about the spiritual dimension in how the world would evolve during the ideas and thoughts from the Club of Rome members. And he also set up an organization called the Club of Budapest in 1992 or 3, I think, right after the Rio de Janeiro meeting about the environment. And this was a club that kind of a sister club to the Club of Rome, discussing global culture, global spirituality, and all these matters. And a lot of influential members became part of this, like Mikhail Gorbachev and Dalai Lama and Milos Forman, and it was a mix of highly influential statesmen and thought leaders and spiritual leaders in this. It looked very serious. But as I was digging deeper into this, I also found that Irving Laszlo was involved in a couple of other organizations. And during this time, I started to do the investigation in 2009. We were seeing the start of the 2012 movement. Very big in New Age. And Irving Laszlo and his comrades were very into the 2012 phenomena. And he had a close friend called Jose Arguelles. He was the man behind the Maya calendar hypothesis about the end date 21st of December 2012. And I mean, it's huge in New Age circles, as you might remember. And but it went even. So it was okay. I was in the Club of Rome before European Energy Policy, and now I'm in this New Age world, talking about a world shift. A big shift arriving in a big shift in consciousness. But one thing, but another organization that these fellows were working with was called the North Fair Forum, and this was when it became very, 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 very strange, because when I watched this website, it was full of disturbing pictures with a kind of a human and human brain connected to computers. And it talked about a technological singularity and how we would develop ourselves through the use of technology. And that was kind of far from these New Age things. The next step was... upon I was kind of shocked of this. This was clear references also to Elon Musk and Neuralink and the satellite temple in the sky. But when we go to the next thing, and that is the people that inspired Jose Arguelles and Irving Laszlo. One of them was Pierre Desjardins, a Jesuit priest, famous for the noosphere theory or the omega point theory, and another professor from Pittsburgh called Oliver L. Reiser. He talked about creating this world sensorium, a kind of a world brain, inspired by the ideas from H.G. Wells. But, and now we come to answer the question you began with. He was also inspired by theosophy. And I had to buy a couple of his books about this grand project to really understand. And I also bought Alice Bailey's book, Externalization of a Hierarchy, because all these things that happened, it was connected to these ideas from the Lucis Trust, and even this website, Noosphere Forum, they talked about a new way of ruling the earth, something we call a noocracy. I don't know if you're familiar with that, noocracy. That is the rule of the wise. Only the wise people shall rule. But also they will rule with the wisdom that they gain from the world brain. By connecting everyone into a single world organism, you will know what people think, what we strive for, but also if the development will go in the wrong direction. And that's where the Masters of Wisdom comes and saves the earth from being destroyed. And so it was very from the Club of Rome to this, it was wow.
As you were telling that story, I was starting to think, how does energy policy lead you in this direction? And I couldn't imagine. But actually, now that you're telling the story, of course, because it, even in my own research, looking at someone like Morris Strong, of course, famed oil tycoon / environmental crusader / had a new age Manitou residence in the back of a ranch in New Mexico or wherever he ended up. The Earth Charter. I remember there was the weirdness of, I can't remember which Rockefeller. I believe it was a Stephen Rockefeller that ended up commemorating the Earth Charter and putting it in an ark that they sent to New York after 9/11. There is some craziness that really is at the heart of some of these groupings that might be surprising. It sounds like this crazy science fiction nonsense until you realize incredibly powerful, rich people believe in this and have been working towards creating this and manifesting it in reality. So I think maybe it would be most fruitful to start with Alice Bailey and to talk about theosophy, what it is. What is the externalization of the hierarchy? When and why did she write it? How did she write it? Or did she write it? Or was it channeled to her or whatever? Tell us about Alice Bailey.
Well, Alice Bailey, she was from England, and she became drawn into the theosophical movement. And theosophy, when we talk, the main theosophist was Madame Blavatsky in the late 19th century. And it was a huge movement, and very popularized, especially among, upper classes and so on. I talked about this, and they wanted to seek the hidden knowledge, you could say, and also it was a time of spiritualism, and Bailey was drawn into this. And she started to work with. She moved to New York and started to work at the office of Theosophical Society's magazine, The Messenger, I think it was called, together with her new husband, Foster Bailey. And after a time, she started to receive kind of telepathical messages from one of the masters, because in theosophy we have the masters of wisdom, and these are a very hidden group that kind of oversee and runs human affairs from above and try to bring spiritual evolution to humanity. It's very, very much into to evolve humanity and bring about kind of a utopia in the end. And Bailey, she got these telepathical messages from one of the masters called Jval Kul. And she started to write books. She first refused, but then she gave in, and she had to do it. And started to write books in the, I think, 1919. The first book was written. It was published in 1922 by the Lucifer Publishing Company. Because at that time, the old Theosophical Society, they didn't really like having this woman coming in and say that she was the one that could receive these messages. So she was on her own together with her husband, and they created this organization called the Lucis Trust. And they has published 24 books that has been dictated by this master of wisdom.
So the hierarchy in Externalization of the Hierarchy, are these masters of wisdom that are guiding humanity to the spiritual evolution, or what have you?
Yes, they are, and so it's a hierarchy. It's like a department. And we describe actually on the Lucis Trust webpage that this structure, that is what all big organizations are using on Earth. And but their organization is, they have these titles. One, for example, is the Christ, and you have a kind of some Indian names as well, and I have to check the in my book. So you have a couple of departments. The Lord of Government, for example. So they are the overseers of government affairs. Inspirer of statesmen. Manipulates forces for furthering of racial evolution. That's one of the things that these people are doing. And then we have the Christ and the world teacher. And for example, in this group with masters, we have one European master that's take care of the Anglo-Saxon race, future development and evolution. And we also have Jval Kul himself. He is the responsible for the great philanthropic world movements. And for me, upon reading this is from 1922, this book. It was so clear that it was so connected to the Round Table Group and what they wanted to achieve with the world. And also, when you looked up on the people that was involved in this, very, very close connections in thinking, and we also find connections to Foster Bailey was a Freemason, for example. So we have the Freemasonic connection. And that was the case with Round Table Group as well. So it's the same kind of ideals that goes through this, and also they have this leaning towards British patriotism as well. So they actually state, they state. I mean, spiritual masters, and they talk about the great work of the Anglo-American establishment and what we are.
Cecil Rhodes was a great guy, I tell you. So okay, so the concept here is that this this hierarchy, the spiritual hierarchy, the Masters of Wisdom, are a hidden group that has been working behind the scenes, but the externalization of the hierarchy is they're going to come to light. They're going to be revealed to the world. And I will confess, I've never read The Externalization of the Hierarchy, but I was intrigued by the fact that you were citing that Alice Bailey was writing specifically about the year 2025, so I had to go look that up. And I did find it. You can go read the whole thing if you want on luciustrust.org. They have all of her books.
They have everything.
So, specifically in section 4 of The Externalization of the Hierarchy, entitled Stages in the Externalization of the Hierarchy, Part 2, Alice, or the telepathic master she was channeling, wrote, "Thus, a great and new movement is proceeding, and a tremendously increased interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on until AD 2025. During the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be seen taking place, and all the great General Assembly of the hierarchy, held as usual every century. In 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy." Yeah, well, here we are. I guess, I don't know. Has the date been set? How does this tie into what's going on right now?
And it's just it's just happened. It was kind of funny in a way, because I mean, this book, The Temple of Solomon, it was published now in December, and just a couple of months later, we have a real master arriving at the scene with Mark Carney, and for me it was just shit.
Well, okay, for people, there's a lot of people in the audience who won't even know Mark Carney or understand, his real role in things. So tell people about this character and how he arrived in the scene as the Prime Minister of Canada.
Yes, Mark Carney, one of the most well-connected men I ever have encountered. He he started in Goldman Sachs for 13 years. And then he made a career with, he has been at the Bank of Canada, governor of Bank of Canada. And then he was the governor of the Bank of England, the only Canadian that has had this position. And he has been at the Bank of International Settlements, and he has been at the Financial Stability Board, leading this. He has been the chairman of the Group of 30. This is a very elitist banking organizations. All the big names in banking belongs to this group. I mean, this is the apex body, as we talked about the last time we had a discussion about the apex body. And he's a fellow that is wanted to create this apex body, of course. But that's not the end of it. He also has been, he was a trustee of the World Economic Forum from 2011 to 2022. He has been in the Trilateral Commission. Of course, he was in the task force on global capitalism. This is all about the future for the financial system. And he's the United Nations climate czar. he has, that's about climate financing and all everything. I mean, everything we talked about the last time. What to say? Was it 2 years ago? It was about that, bringing about a new financial system in the end. And he has been, of course, the G8, the G20. I have to, and also Bilderberg Group. He has attended in 2011, 2012, 2019, 22, 23, 24.
And by the way, he's been the board, the chairman of the board of the Chatham House, aka the RIIA, which is the mother institution of the CFR.
Yes,
since
exactly.
last year.
That was the last piece, but you said it now.
Sorry,
Because,
I couldn't resist. It's just so crazy.
It's
as
just
you say.
shut them out. When I saw that, oh shit! and
See,
I
for people who don't understand, this goes right back to what we were talking about with the Anglo-Saxon world order, the Anglo-American roundtable groups, and Chatham House, of course, being one of their outward manifestations of their secret society, which, of course, was originally founded by Rhodes, where they had the Society of the Elect, or whatever they called them. It's all of these occultic things that are being manifested politically. And here we have the chairman of Chatham House is now becoming the Prime Minister of Canada. Crazy.
Has it ever happened before that we had a man of this prestige in such a position? Well, we had Henry Kissinger one time as a Secretary of State, but this is, I mean, this guy is totally in the middle of it, and
the consummate globalist insider. And interestingly, in your article, you point out his mission is now to counter the economic threats from The Apprentice, Donald Trump, another actor on the world stage who has the mission to wreck the old system. The show must go on. They both have their roles in the construction of the new artificial temple with a group consciousness, hive mind, the world brain, that has been the lusting after, sought after treasure of these people for generations, for whatever particular reason they have. All right, talk about that. Talk about the conditions that are being set up for the great battle that will apparently result in this externalization of the hierarchy, or at least so they say.
Yes, actually, I wrote about this before Donald Trump came to power, that he was the chosen one, the Wreck-It Ralph. That would have you seen the movie Wreck-It Ralph?
I haven't, but I'm aware.
You're aware of it, with this computer game character that is destroying houses, and I thought it was a fitting description of what Donald Trump is doing, because he is wrecking the old order. But still, he has his team of technocrats running things, and now we will have some years before, and the thing is, they want to get rid of United States won't be the superpower anymore, and we will have this multilateral system, or oligarchy rather, with this. And as I had was discussing and writing about during the last time we spoke, it was about United Nations, our common agenda, and these plans that now are a part of a Pact for the Future. And the Pact for the Future was finished just before Donald Trump came into power, and that is a kind of instruction manual on how to set up the new world order, if you say, in the coming years. But first they have to break it.
That's it. You can't create a new world order without breaking the old world order, and that's exactly what is happening right now. And the people who are most in the greatest positions of power and influence right now in that Wreck-It Ralph administration are the big tech oligarchs who are busily behind the scenes working on constructing that world brain idea that, again, H.G. Wells was writing about a century ago.
Yeah, and it's we are experiencing it now. It's just incredible to see this unfold. And
speaking of incredible, there was another little tidbit that you included in your article that was crazy, but not surprising, but still crazy. You were talking specifically about the World Economic Forum, which, of course, as we mentioned, Mark Carney is a frequent attendee of. And as you write, as Lucius Trust writes about WEF in connection with their World Goodwill Project cycle of conferences, As the International Organization for Public-Private Cooperation, the World Economic Forum brings together the world's foremost CEOs, heads of state, ministers, and policymakers, experts and academics, international organizations, youth, technology innovators, and representatives of civil society in an impartial space with the aim of driving positive change. The cycle of conferences use group meditation to invoke energies of divine will to WEF's annual meetings, quote, affirming the role they are playing in what WEF founder Klaus Schwab has referred to as a societal revolution that has the power to elevate humanity, or indeed to fracture it. What on earth? What is happening here?
Yes, we have had this group meditation since the end of the Second World War and the start of the United Nations. And so they give spiritual power to these meetings. And also, and it's interesting to see in the language that they give that it's not like oh, they are the bad people, and now we have to influence to be better, to do better than they are doing now. No, it's not like these are the good forces, and we have to make it these powers grow even more. And but I think a lot of those people involved in Lucis Trust and participating in these group meditations, they might not really understand this, but they give their energy to this. And among these people in power, they can feel it's an energy, and it's an energy that helps them. So they believe in this.
So tell us about the Temple of Solomon. What is this book about? Why did you write it? What does it contain?
Yes, it's a special book. It's a very special book because I decided during my PhD studies, I wrote this my thesis, of course, but I couldn't include this stuff with the occult history. It was impossible. So I had to write a couple other books as well. One was about the Rockefeller philanthropist's involvement in world politics, and but I had this book all the time that I felt a need. I have to finish kind of this my project with this book and tell this story. And but this is it's a more than a book, actually, because it's very connected to also my I'm a musician, you know, and so I write music, and I started to write music during my PhD studies as a way to let off some steam during the work, because I mean, reading about all these things with the noosphere and then shipping your brain, and it was just and I couldn't write about all these things in the thesis, so I had to so I used music instead. So actually, this is a kind of the most exclusive booklets for a record, actually, because it is a soundtrack included in this with music, and all the chapters in the book they are about each song on that album, but it also tells the story of the temple of Solomon. So I start out very early with Dr. John Dee in Elizabeth I's court. And I also had worked with an illustrator, real illustrations, no AI involved in this, because I wanted to make a real a book made by humans for humans, not machine made. So one chapter about John Dee, and I have a chapter about theosophy and the occult background, and how this also goes into development of the world with the global goals, and also the idea of creating this temple for mankind, the Temple of Solomon, that I found in Oliver Reiser's book, Cosmic Humanism and World Unity, that they wanted to this world system, this brain, this world brain that they were creating. He called it the Solomon's Temple, and so that was what, and he was himself. I mean, as I said before, into theosophy, but also Freemasonry. And Freemasonry talks a lot about the Solomon's Temple. I mean, that's if you go into their rituals, the temple is essential. But this was an artificial temple built on technology, and I discuss this and other topics as well. But also, I give the end of a book is actually like in every tale. You have a good ending about what I think this is. I think what we are witnessing it's like the rebuilding of the Tower of Babel through the use of technology, but it can never succeed in the end. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to we know from Donald Trump talking about energy emergency, as we have to have all this energy, we have to have all these, we have to have Ukraine and all the resources, rare earth minerals to build the world brain, and then we have to run this, and so I see this as a kind of a beast system, but it can never survive in the end. And so that's what I write about in the end. It's doomed to fail. But
I've never really thought about that, but the Tower of Babel story really is ultimately one of the most hopeful stories from our perspective, isn't it? Because you can try to build these wonderful towers to the heavens, but it's going to fall apart. It will not work.
I mean, it's hubris by these people, and they have it now. And like Klaus Schwab and Elon Musk, it's all about, and it's just so stupid now.
So what does it mean that the Bank for International Settlements headquarters is literally modeled on the Tower of Babel?
Yeah, the Tower of Basel.
Yeah. It's that's again.
So they use it
so
themselves.
Much crazier than most people could possibly imagine. It truly is crazy. Anyway, here's this. So yes, good. You answered my hard final question, which was going to be: so what do we do with this information now that we know that there's this neo-theosophical society and these occultists and world brain chippers? What do we do? But I think you have answered that, and at any rate, people can go to the book for more information in its context as well as the end. But how do people get the book?
The thing is, you can only buy it directly from me. So, and you can't go to Amazon or anything like that. And it's numbered in 777 copies, 777 copies, I would say, and signed by me. And you can buy it from my web shop. You can find it at my webpage, jacobnordangard.se.
Yes, ferrosmedia.se is the link that I'm using, and of course that will be in the show notes, along with a link to your article, your Substack, your blog, etc., so that people can find your work in many, many different ways, and I hope they do. If they are at all intrigued by this conversation, I'm sure there's a lot more to blow their minds in that, and hopefully we can get into that in further conversations in the future.
Yes,
I think we'll leave this here for today. Let's just put this on the table and let people stew on it for a little while. At any rate, Dr. Jakob Nordengard, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, James. Yeah.
The Deep State. False Flags. 9/11 Truth. The Federal Reserve. Secret Wars and Hidden Histories. Fake News. Medical Martial Law. Ceaseless Propaganda. James Corbett. Reportage. Essays on the New World Order. Available where books are sold. Until they're not.
Reportagebook.com